Om. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Surya Koti Samaprabha Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupani Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om and welcome from Austin, Texas. When I was at the Chinmaya International Foundation, I received a bookmark that said, "The mystery of life is not sickness, but health." The mystery of life is not sickness, but health. And I got this bookmark a long time ago, but only recently did I understand that bookmark. And it made me think that the fact that you and I are alive right now is amazing. If you think about all of the bacteria, all of the viruses, all of the cuts and bruises, etc., that our body has gone through, the fact that we're still alive is amazing. And so this quote, what it's saying, this quote is from Swami Chinmayananda, is that the fact that you and I are still healthy right now, at whatever age we're at, is amazing. It's a blessing. Living itself is amazing. The fact that we heal, the fact that we process oxygen, the fact that we can think is amazing. And if we just pause and think, it brings a lot of gratitude into our lives. It brings a lot of joy into our lives. You and I have studied the first shloka of Bhaja Govindam, or Moha Mudgara, which teaches us what the vision of living should be. Bhaja, we should be Govinda, the one who is joyous. And from that, we've studied 12 shlokas, so 1 plus 12, elaborating on that one, how we should do that, how our lifestyle should be with pleasure and with possessions and with position. And now that we've completed these really 13 shlokas, we study another section of Manjari. Manjari means flower. Manjari means petal. And if you think about this, many of you have fake flowers in your homes, correct? How many of you have fake flowers in your homes by a show of hands? So how much benefit do those fake flowers bring to your home? They're just there. You actually don't even remember that they're fake. You don't remember them that much that they're fake. How many of you have real flowers in your home right now? The home I'm in has real flowers. See, it's much more different. You know that they're real. You're aware of their presence. In our case, we've now studied 12 flowers, 12 mantras based on that first mantra. So the first mantra is the vision of our lives. And there's 12 mantras that elaborate on that vision. And now we begin studying what Acharya Shankara's disciples have to share about his 12 verses, his 12 flowers, about his vision. So this is where we're at. And just think of the difference between fake flowers and real flowers, and then real flowers and then mantras. Mantras are advice. Mantras are frequencies into a vision on how we should live. When we all met on, checking my dates, December 15th, we had studied how our mind plays games with us. And I want to bring to everyone's attention a certain concept or practice that happens in Bharat more than in North America, and that is of full stop. Everyone in North America, this idea of full stop is not very prevalent for us. But for those who are originally from Bharat, full stop is very common. You know, the food is hot, full stop. That person speaks too much, full stop. I failed this exam, full stop. Full stop means the matter is finished there. But in North America, we keep playing mind games about that. What Acharya Shankara shares in verse 13 is that whatever is happening to us, full stop. That is supposed to happen to us. That is the circumstance that is best for our development. And as soon as we put a full stop there, we quieten the mind games that we tend to play with ourselves. Presenting this differently, you and I have this tendency to vent to our spouse, to vent to our kids, to vent to our neighbors and our coworkers. And when you vent, whatever you're venting about tends to grow. It tends to become more real. But Acharya Shankara is teaching us to reconcile whatever we're venting about, whatever we're complaining about, criticizing about, crying about. He's saying you should reconcile that within. You should internalize that. You should fix that, and you should let that go and keep moving. So this is what we studied, and he has shared that this is best achieved through satsang. In satsang, we feel more secure. Now pause right now and think about yourself in your life. Do you feel secure right now? Are you worried about your mortgage payments? Are you worried about someone judging you? Those worries, fear, anxiety, depression, they're not there presently because satsang is the real security. Because satsang, though we externalize it, is actually happening within. And that's what's beautiful about this, is that satsang makes us independent. It is independent, and it makes us more independent. And when we become independent, we actually offer the deepest gift to others. We are a catalyst. We encourage others to be independent also. Now think, we just passed Deepavali, we just passed Christmas, now Makara Sankranti is coming up. What gift can you offer to your family, to your friends, to anyone that will last forever? And there's nothing that you can tell me other than through satsang, people become more independent. This is what we've studied, and now we continue on to Shloka 14. And in Shloka 14, I remind everyone that the shift is away from Acharya Shankara's initial vision, his commentary on the vision, but now we study what his disciples, his shishas, say about what he has taught. Okay? So please repeat after me. Jatilo mundi lunchita keshaha. Kashayambara bahukrita veshaha. Pashyannapi chana pashyati mudaha. Sorry. Yudranimittam bahukrita veshaha. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Muramate. So what does Acharya Shankara share? And not Acharya Shankara, again, I want to remind you, it is his disciples that are sharing on what he has taught. So he says, Jatilaha. For all of those who are near a computer, what does Jatila mean? What does Jata mean? Or you can visualize it. You can show me. Yes, hair. But not just ordinary hair. In a modern sense, it would be dreadlocks. You know, matted locks. If you haven't washed your hair for 5 days, you have Jatila also. So Acharya Shankara has these. Oh, I'm missing Acharya Shankara. He's just describing. I'm not going to tell you who he's describing, but he's describing someone with matted locks. So Jatilaha. You know why people keep these matted locks, by these dreadlocks? There's a school of thought, or there's an understanding that your hair conserves your energy. I'm not saying I agree with this, but I'm telling you that there's a school of thought that believes that you conserve your energy when your hair is tied up. So your head releases a lot of heat, which is why we wear hats in the Northeast specifically. I'm in Austin right now. I'm sweating even as I'm speaking to you. It's so hot over here. But they wear hats, you know, so to conserve the heat that is released from your head. So your hair is conducive to that. Okay, so Jatilaha. Then we have Mundi. Mundi means someone who has a head that's shaven, like Mundaka Upanishad. Someone who has their mundan done. So their head is shaved. Acharya Shankara's disciples are describing this. Now, why do we shave our head? It is shared that our hair represents desires. So every hair you have represents a desire. So those people with more hair, you are more desirous than those people with less hair. And there's some bald people in our class, and they feel very good when I share such thoughts. So I'm especially talking to you that you are more free of desires than those people with lots of hair. Okay? So your hair represents your desires. So that's why in the ashram we shave our heads every second month. And for myself personally, since 2005, every June and every December I've shaved my head in the ashram, or Sheila shaves my head, but she told me I'm not allowed until I stop traveling so much. There's lots of transition that's going on in the US right now, so I have to try to fit in to what it means to be an American right now. So I have more normal hair. You may not think so, but apparently it's more normal. And then, this is something you must not know. Lunchita Keshaha is actually someone who has less hair because they've pulled out each strand. Now, all of those people who have white hair and you've pulled out your white hair, you know how much effort it requires to pull out that white hair from your head or from your face. Lunchita Keshaha means you've pulled out all of your hair, but not by a clipper, not by scissors. You've actually pulled out each hair physically with your hands or with an instrument. And the reason they've done that is to show that the body is painful. Having a body is painful. And they do this with their hair to emphasize that pain, because it hurts when you take out that hair. So in this first line, Acharya Shankara's disciples are teaching someone who has locks, or someone who has no hair, or someone who has no hair because they've pulled out each strand, each fiber by themselves. Not only that, kashayambara, which means they are wearing clothes. Ambara, they're wearing clothes that are kashaya, which means that they're orange in color. They're the color of fire. Okay? So I've described many hair types, and now I'm describing the clothing. That they wear clothes that are the color of fire. Okay? So I hope you're tuning into me that right now that they're people who apparently are sannyasis, people who are renunciates. Bahukrita veshaha means they're wearing many attires. He's referring to their hair, he's referring to their clothes. People who proclaim that they are renunciates. Now please tune into me very carefully here. If all of you listened to President Obama's farewell address on Tuesday, he talked a whole lot about how skin is not a determinant of one's personality, of one's life. Skin is only so deep. Do you all agree? I can have very dark skin or very light skin or a mixture of both. That doesn't determine the type of personality I am. Yes? So here, what Acharya Shankara's disciples are teaching are, just because your clothes are of a certain color, that doesn't mean that you're that type of person. You can wear very bright clothes but be a very dark person. You can wear very dark clothes but be very bright person, correct? If your skin doesn't determine the type of person you are, then certainly your clothes do not determine the type of person you are. And I want you to tune into that because this applies even in a sacred environment. We get it when it comes to a secular environment, but in a sacred environment. Now, all of you, in this class, I'm looking at the chat room, we have 30 study groups in this class. And if each study group has 8 people in it, let's say, there's some with less, some with more, that means there's 250 people in this class. In this class, right now, I'm wearing a white kurta and a tilak. Why are you in this class? What proof do I have to show you that I am an authority to facilitate this class? You know, in a secular environment, they would never say that, but I'm full out telling you, why are you in this class when I have no proof to show you that I am qualified to facilitate this class based on this Bhaja Govinda? Isn't it? So many of you invite me to your home for meals, to stay at your homes, to guide you, but what proof do you have? I can't show you that I have a certificate, that I graduated from Sandipani, that I've studied Bhagavad Gita, etc. It is faith-based. And faith is not based on gender or age or any sort of experience. And that's what Acharya Shankara's disciples are trying to teach us, is do not take the color of someone's skin or the color of someone's clothes to be absolute. And really, if you take this even more deeply, he's trying to teach us that just because you change your skin color or the color of your clothes, you do not change. You only change when your mind changes. And that's what's taught in Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna says this varna. Varna we interpret as caste. Varna actually means color. He says it is not determined by the karma, but it is determined by the guna. That is simply how you input and output. That is who you are. And he continues, Pashyannapichana pashyati mudaha. Pashyati means to see. And this is where the word pashuhu means. Again, for those near a computer, what does pashu mean? Please type that in. What does pashu mean? This gives me a chance to drink some water. Correct. Pashu means animal. So a dog is called a pashu. I'm actually staying in a home right now where there's a greyhound. Have you ever stayed in a home where there's a greyhound? A greyhound is like a alligator. I've told all of you about alligators. Alligators are very tamasic, very lazy animals. When Sheila and I were in Florida in April, then we went on a tour and we were literally in kayaks swimming or rowing by alligators, and those alligators spend the majority of their day warming up because they're cold-blooded, so they spend their time in the sun. Greyhounds spend the majority of their time sleeping. They may sprint for 30 seconds for a minute, but they require 4 to 5 hours of sleep to energize themselves. Who knows why I'm telling you this? My point is that pashyati is the same philosophy as pashu, one who sees. One who sees and lives by what they see is an animal. When you and I only live by sight, we are no different than animals. And that's what Acharya Shankara is teaching us, his disciples, is that when you live by sight, but not by vision, you are an animal and not a human. But when you live by vision and not by sight, that's when you grow up from an animal to a human. So, when you drive down a hot highway and you see water on that road, do any of you slow down or stop? No, because you don't live by sight, you live by vision. For all of you who visit Niagara Falls and you see that rainbow, that interaction between mist and the sun or any sort of light, you don't chase that end of the rainbow. You don't try to hold that rainbow because it's an optical illusion. In fact, water and sky are not blue, they're clear. It's an optical illusion. Pashyati here is being shared as not what the eye sees, but what the intellect understands. In Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and for all of those in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita course, I will tune into this when we reach that point. Bhagavan Krishna says, Pashyati saha pashyati. The one who sees, sees. And sees here doesn't mean with the eyes, it means with vision. Interpreting that, only the one with vision is the one who sees. So my question for all of you is, do you see? When you experience living, do you interpret it literally or do you look at the implied meaning? You know, in the last Bhagavad Gita course class that we had, which is on Tuesday, I had turned off my filter. I had verbally mentioned that I turned off my filter and I hammered our Bhagavad Gita students for being lazy, for being tamasic. And then what had happened is that some people emailed me afterwards saying, I'm glad you turned off your filter. You should always leave your filter off. And then some people emailed me saying, you should keep your filter on all the time. As in never be so harsh with us. And what I was sharing with both groups of people is that, you know, we tend to be very tamasic. We tend to be very lazy when it comes to anything that is sacred. When it comes to that which is secular, you know, investments and popularity and health, we're very vigilant about that. But when it comes to matters that are sacred, self-development, patience, etc., we become very lazy with that. We do that at the last minute. And I'll tell you, it's because we don't see. We're so stuck on being utilitarian instead of visionary. Today is a day that is celebrated as Youth Day in Bharat. I believe today is Puja Swami Vivekananda's Jayanti, I think. It is the day that he is born, and he loved working with youth. He loved youth, and that's why it's celebrated as Youth Day. And he used to, he still does, encourage people to look at life more than meets the eye. And why youth are emphasized is because as we get older, we tend to become more jaded, more bitter, more cynical. We tend to focus on what we can get instead of what we can give. So today's a beautiful class. That today's a full moon, and today's Puja Swami Vivekananda's Jayanti, and we're studying this subject. In the last line, Acharya Shankara's disciples say, Hi udara nimetam bahukrita veshaha. What he shares here is that people take on so many forms and names just to feed themselves. And taking this more bigly, that's what I guess I should call him President Trump says, right? Bigly. What he says is that more big picture is people do whatever it takes, even if it means a compromise on values, just to feed themselves, just to make themselves more strong when it comes to pleasure and possession and position. Acharya Shankara says people will change any form, any name, just to feed themselves, just to be comfortable. You know, when I had applied for the Vedanta course in Sandipani, I had applied in January and acceptances were given in March. I'm talking about 2005. Millennia ago, thousands of years ago when this happened. And within this time, when you apply for the Vedanta course, which is a physical application, it's something that's written, and then you're supposed to have an interview with the senior Acharya, someone who lives close to you. Now, I'm going to digress here and say that I actually never had a physical interview with anyone. In March, I got a letter saying that I was accepted to the Vedanta course in Sandipani, and it was totally their mistake. I was a full false positive that they had accepted me at the time. But, I had asked many of our senior acharyas, I had asked Guruji also, what happens in this interview? Between the time you apply physically and you have this verbal interview and then there's acceptance or rejection, what happens? Because in our case, 750 people applied for our Vedanta course. Only 150 were given an interview. By the time we started the course, we were down to 60, from 750 to 60. So what Guruji and other senior acharyas had told me is that, living a life of an acharya is very, I'm going to put huge quotes here, okay? Easy. You're invited to people's homes, correct? You're fed by people, correct? You're given gifts, whether that's physical gifts or material gifts, correct? People touch your feet. Apparently that's important in life if people touch your feet, etc., etc., etc. It's very easy to live this type of life. So, what this interview gauges is people who are in this because they want to grow, so they're accepted, or people who are in this because they're escaping from their responsibilities. And that's what Acharya Shankara says is there's many people who change their form and name. They change the color of their clothes, they change their name, so that they can escape from their responsibilities and live that very comfortable life. where people provide for you what you need without you having to work for it. So this is brought up in the last line. And to complete this whole teaching, Acharya Shankara's disciples are trying to highlight here that tamas, laziness, darkness is so prevalent in society 1500 years ago and even now. Now, how do you know this? People who love sleep. If you're a lover of sleep, and rather than being a lover of wakefulness or being vigilant and accomplishing and working, etc., that's what Acharya Shankara is saying. Be vigilant to not be that person who is lazy, who always takes the form of escapism rather than embracing their responsibilities. And a very tactile way of knowing that is being a lover of sleep rather than being a lover of the waking state. And I certainly am not talking about those people who have specific biological or psychological conditions. Obviously, there's exceptions, but if you would rather sleep than work, this shloka applies to you. Acharya Shankara's disciples are trying to point out to you that you are escaping rather than embracing, and you cannot grow in escaping. You can only grow in embracing. And that's why this course is called Moha Mudgara, to hammer fear rather than run away from fear. I'm in Austin right now. Tomorrow I will be shifting to Houston. And in Houston, I'll be doing workshops on face everything and rise. You have to face everything. And if you don't face it today, you'll have to face it tomorrow or the next lifetime. So we are learning how to face our responsibilities right now, right here. And it's beautiful how Acharya Shankara's disciples have tuned into that, and they're trying to encourage us. Over the next 14 shlokas, and then Acharya Shankara will come back and summarize all of this at the same time as we complete our course, so that we are solid with our Vedantic understanding and ready to study and serve more. Oh.